morning everybody, or I guess when I post this video it might be good night or good afternoon, but anyways, hello, I am Ginny and today I am filming my September TBR or to be read book list. So September is a bit of a reread month for me. I've got quite a few books that I just put back on my TBR because the next book in this series is coming out and I want to completely refresh my memory, so it's a lot of rereads for me. The first book on my TBR list is Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. The 8th book comes out October 23rd, but this is just like, one of my favorite books ever. But this book is about Celaena Sardothien. She is a world-famous assassin. The Crown Prince Dorian, he wants her to compete in his father's competition for figuring out who can be his champion or right-hand man, or right-hand murderer, is that's a little bit more accurate. So she ends up going to the castle, she starts competing. There are 23 other competitors. Every week they have a new test and somebody is eliminated. As they are competing for the spot to become the king's champion, would-be champions start going missing. Their remains are found along the castle, completely obliterated, and soon they discover that it's a pattern. So Celaena is very concerned that it's going to be her next. She tries to figure out why these champions are being murdered and if she's going to be the next victim, and she ends up discovering a much darker evil in the castle. So she has to find a way to stop the murders, become the king's champion, and survive. So this is a great YA fantasy adventure book. I highly recommend it. The series is almost done, so you guys should all reread with me. Yeah. So that is Throne of Glass. Because this series is such a long series, I'm trying to reread like half of the series this month and half of the series next month, so by the time October 23rd comes around, I am all caught up and ready to go. But the next one is The Assassin's Blade, also by Sarah J. Maas. Even though it's titled a novella, it's basically as thick as the actual book. I mean, they're pretty big, thick books. The Assassin's Blade actually happens before the Throne of Glass. This is kind of like a really cool, interesting, kind of like background glance on Celaena Sardothien. So there are 5 different little short stories in here. Some of them are about her training experiences, all these new characters she's met before. They also go over the betrayal and how she ended up in Endover. So I think this is a really good read, especially when you are reading the entire series. It gives you background information, some of the experiences, you learn about who she is and some of the characters she met along the way. And a lot of these characters won't mean anything for the first couple books in the series, but later on these characters are reintroduced, and honestly having this background information about them is amazing, and you kind of see like why they're helping her later in the series. Even if you have already read the Throne of Glass series, if you haven't read this book, you really should. I highly recommend it, so pick up a copy. Book number 3, you guys guessed it, it's another Sarah J. Maas book. This is Crown of Midnight. It takes place after the first Throne of Glass book. Basically, you guys get to see what happened after the first book. I don't want to mention too much about this because I don't want to spoil it for you guys, but in this one, you just get to follow Celaena along her journey and find out everything that happened after the competition to decide who got to be the king's champion and everything that happens afterwards. So that is my next one. Can't really say much about this, mainly just because I don't want to spoil it for you guys, but I will eventually be doing a review on this book, so I will go more into depth about what exactly happens in this book later. Book number 4, this is my last reread, I promise. It is Warcross by Marie Lu. I'm so in love with this book. First of all, the cover is just gorgeous. You guys might be able to see, but I do actually own 2 copies of Warcross. I own this hardback, but I also own, I'll pull it out, the paperback that was recently released. I own this copy because It is super gorgeous. You got like a rainbow colored and then a silver. But in this one, they actually have a little sneak peek of Wild Card, which comes out later this month. So I had to get it because of that. And it also has a little sneak peek of Life After Legend. But this book is about Emika Chen. She unfortunately gets down on her luck. She's struggling to make ends meet. So she takes a risk and hacks into the opening international big celebration of Warcross game, and she accidentally glitches herself right into the game. Now, this kind of sounds like you would probably be arrested for glitching yourself into a big international game where everybody's watching, but she ends up not being arrested. The designer of the game, Hideo, or I've also heard it be pronounced Hideo, I'm not sure. I should probably look that up, but and he wants her to work for him. So she gets whisked off to Tokyo where the game is happening, and she ends up becoming a player in the game, and her job was to find this hacker who is messing with his games and changing things, who is sabotaging Warcross, and along the way she discovers that the reasons Warcross is being hacked are a lot bigger and deeper than what she expected. But I'm so excited. This book was so amazing. Every once in a while I love diving into like kind of like a sci-fi gaming book. This is perfect. I highly recommend it to everybody, especially since the next book, Wild Card, comes out September 18th. So excited. I've already pre-ordered my copy, and I've already gotten a ticket to the Spokane book tour for Marie Lu. She's coming in September 22nd. If you guys want to join me there, get a chance to meet this author. She will be signing books, answering questions about the writing process, all that. Go to Auntie's bookstore or order a copy of Wild Card and you can get a ticket. So I highly recommend you guys all join me. I'm so excited. Yes, but this is Warcross. So those are all my rereads. The last 3 books on my TBR are books I've never read, but I'm very excited to do so. Number 1, Eliza and Her Monsters by Francesca Zappia. This has actually been on my TBR for quite a while, and I decided with school starting again, this book does take place in like a high school setting, so I thought it is the perfect time to read it. I'm just going to read the inside cover because I have kind of forgotten what it's about. Okay. In the real world, Eliza Merck is shy, weird, and friendless. Online, she's Lady Constellation, the anonymous creator of the wildly popular webcomic Monstrous Sea. Eliza can't imagine enjoying the real world as much as she loves the online one, and she has no desire to try. Then Wallace Warland, Monstrous Sea's biggest fan fiction writer, transfers to her school. Wallace thinks Eliza is just another fan, and as he draws her out of her spell, she begins to wonder if a life online might be worthwhile. But when Eliza's secret is accidentally shared with the world, everything she's built, her story, her relationship with Wallace, and even her sanity, begins to fall apart. Yes. So that is the synopsis that is inside the cover. I really am excited to read this. I think it'll be a great one for back to school as they are in a school setting. I am also super interested about kind of like her secret life, how she balances those 2 lives. I'm really interested to see, and what happens also when it all comes crashing down. So the next one, To All the Boys I've Loved Before by Jenny Han. I picked this book up because I've heard amazing things about it. It is also on Netflix now. But basically this book is about Laura Jean. She writes letters to all the boys she has loved before. She doesn't send them out, but all her feelings, all her emotions, all her questions, everything, she pours it into this letter to different boys that she's loved before. And somehow these letters are leaked and they go out to all these boys that she used to have crushes on and everything. And it's about her learning how to deal with that and what happens when her imaginary life collides with her real life one. So when those letters are sent out, her life kind of spins out of control and she's having to deal with all these different emotions and embarrassment, maybe relief from letting her feelings be known. But anyways, it's all about her life kind of just spins out of control. This is a series. There are 2 more books. So I might eventually pick them up, but who knows. My last book is Grace and Fury. This is the Owl Crate exclusive edition. That's why it looks so pretty and so different. This book is about two sisters. Serena, she has trained to become a Grace all her life, to attend life in court and be kind of like the quiet lady who is unfortunately kind of like just a side piece or side accessory to the king. But she also has a sister named Nomi, and Nomi has never wanted to be a Grace, but Nomi accidentally catches the eye of the prince. She kind of takes over Serena's place, and Serena ends up taking the fall for one of Nomi's biggest secrets. So the two sisters are kind of like in both positions that they didn't want to be in. Nomi is trying to figure out how to be a Grace and how she can use her position to try to help her sister, but deception is everywhere in the palace, and there is a traitor who walks the halls, so she has to try to figure that out and figure out who the traitor is while also trying to save her sister. And Serena is on an island filled with deadly people, deadly creatures, and everything is trying out to kill her, so she is just fighting for her survival. I think this will be a very interesting story. It's going to be about sisterhood and family and the bonds between sisters and how far we'll go to try to save each other. So very excited to read this. Yeah. Boom. Oh, if I didn't say, this is Grace and Fury by Tracy Banghart. Da-da. Da-da. Ding. These are all my September TBR list. It is a pretty hefty list thing, but I'm really hopeful that I can get through it. Whoa, that was kind of heavy. My arms kind of hurt now. So if you guys liked that, please subscribe down below. I post new videos every week, and I will see you guys next week. Bye!